Hello and welcome to Neverwinter Night's Hordes of the Underdark, and this will be part 3. In the previous episode, we beat the stuffing out of an oversized fairy queen. So, time to clean up the rest of this level, and I will be speeding up quite a few bits in this part, because it has some relevance. This is a barrel of alchemist fire, by the way, that we will need later on. It can be used to blow stuff up, and that comes in handy when we get to the Ogre area. Just going around willy-nilly doing what we always do, which is looking for secret areas, looting stuff and whatnot. Especially whatnot, that is the important part. I try as much as I can to actually cover every single inch of these areas, but because of the secret doors that may or may not be discovered, it's not guaranteed. And some of them lead to dead ends as well, just to make things even more interesting, of course. Like this one. I'm sure there's a secret door leading out, but my monk did not feel like discovering it. That's why I was worrying about it. No, there's one. He did discover it. I'm just suffering from a bad memory. That wouldn't be a first. I wanted to have done this voiceover last night, but I did not have access to my computer. Or rather, I did not have access to my monitor, which makes it somewhat more difficult to do videos of various kind when you can't really see them. I suppose you could always do some potluck commentating and hope that you are saying something that makes sense to the footage you can't see, but for some bizarre reason, logic dictated to me that it wasn't practical to do that. So, normally I do these recordings, especially when I do the speeding up and have to do after voiceover. I do the recordings, then edit them, and then do the voiceover immediately so I know what I'm talking about. Or maybe I don't. At least I have some sort of clue as to what I'm talking about. But time to rest. You cannot rest when there's enemies nearby, so it must be someone around somewhere I haven't discovered yet. Intriguing. Because I do batch recordings, I discovered that chapter 1 is actually not very long. So I think I'm going to go back on the idea of doing 3 episodes on the weekdays that I upload this series, because I think I might run out of the series quicker than I anticipated. If it turns out that the later chapters are much longer, then I will happily extend it to 3 episodes per upload day, but chapter 1 is not that long. I'm fairly sure chapter 2 have a certain amount of substance, but just been rendering, by the way. That's why there was an editing cut. So let's go down to the Ogre bit. And I slowed down the speed here because I just want to showcase this little trapped area. As you can see, there are paths which are not trapped, and this game is super sensitive. If you just touch a single pixel of trap area, you'll trigger the traps and get hammered by magic missile slashing with this. The good thing about these traps is the fact that the enemies will trigger them as well, but for some bizarre reason those drow that are overhead have no intention of coming down to me even though I'm trying to hide around the corner. They're usually quite keen on running through the traps, trying to get line of sight to me, but nope, not today. They aren't playing ball. So we'll have to run up and say hi. Doesn't exactly pose the greatest challenge. These two floor levers that are present will disable all the traps. And it is nice to get them disabled because it cuts down on the noise level on some areas, or some rooms I should say, are quite noisy. So, we'll showcase that. Time to speed things up again because we are just going to be going through this area, killing a lot of irrelevant stuff, and then once we get to the Ogre mage that we've been told about, we'll slow the things down again and then have the encounter with him. Not a Venderbrand. Another secret door, hooray! That's a nice little change that was made in Neverwinter Nights 2. Is that when you pick something up and you have the... well, it will do a lore check, because of course lore can be an untrained check. But assuming you have a certain amount of lore skill, then you will automatically identify items, which is something that would have been nice if they had done with this game, but I suppose you can't have it all. Compared to the random encounters in Neverwinter Nights, I know, of course, you definitely need a lot more experience as you get up in levels, but it feels more rewarding to get 62 experience rather than getting 4. That is the minimum. I'm not entirely sure what the maximum is. I would guess 2000. I could be mistaken, but I think this expansion, which is of course, can be rather generous with throwing experience at you, but I suppose allowing you to reach quite a high level and not giving you the chance to reach at least parts of it in the official modules would have been a bit of a shame. So, if it hasn't been mentioned before, which I'm fairly sure it has, but I will mention it again, the level cap in Neverwinter Nights is 40 when you have Hordes of the Underdark, which is of course quite a high level. The level cap in Neverwinter Nights 2 is 30, which is still quite a significant level, but obviously 40 is more powerful. This is something that works in a computer game. I don't think any dungeon masters would want to try and make anything that was remotely challenging for a party of level 40 characters, so in a computer game it works because you can just show hundreds of thousands of enemies at the player. But as a dungeon master, if you were to have if you were having to do that, that would be rather uninteresting. For those who may not be into Dungeons and Dragons or having tried played Dungeons and Dragons for real, or pen and paper if you want. If your only experience with Dungeons and Dragons is games like this, then you'll likely think that that's what Dungeons and Dragons is about. But the pen and paper version is, by and large, much more about the role-playing aspect. Obviously, there will be some combat because I mean you need combat to spice things up, but I think a lot of game masters or dungeon masters, I think they're called, they actually prefer to have the role-playing aspect being the key part instead of fighting. And a good role-playing session of Dungeons and Dragons can mean that you spend 4 hours getting nowhere. It sounds a bit stupid, I suppose, but just through the role-playing interplay between the party and to a certain point the Dungeon Master. But of course, I mean, in Dungeons and Dragons, the Dungeon Master is basically the world, the story, the fate, whatever you call it. So he or she will be represented through NPCs more so than anything. But it can be quite fun having role-played arguments or debates. Because of course when you all play different characters with different ideas and philosophies and whatnot, then they can of course come at odds with each other. And not necessarily fun role-playing with someone who's role-playing a dick, but I suppose. Anyway, we have located our Ogre Mage friend thing. And as we all know, of course, this monk doesn't care much for casters. It's not exactly something that scares him a lot. But you gotta give him credit, he tries. I'm fairly sure that was Dimension Door. I could be mistaken. I don't know whether that spell is actually still a spell in Dungeons & Dragons. It was, I could look it up, but I'm too lazy for that. Dimension Door is a close-range teleport that mages could cast, but oh, he surrenders.
I'm obviously no match for you, my good friend. But we're both civilized creatures. There's no need to kill me. You defeated me in
And he is actually surprisingly civilized. I mean, he's a wizard kind of thing, so he has a certain amount of intellect, and that he does. And of course, we tell him that we smacked the Fairy Queen about, and he sees no reason to carry on fighting for nothing, because of course, basically ruling over a graveyard is not exactly the most exciting thing in the world, so we have no reason not to just let him go, so we let him go. Just like we did with the Fairy Queen. They have been neutralized, so yeah, just let them go. Of course, I mean, he's well-spoken and polite, so it helps. Oh, he tells us about there's a way down, but the way down is blocked. Then he mentions the alchemist fire that we have already found, and we can use that to blow the barrier down. Which we're going to do because it's worth experience. Just some looting to do first. More stuff to vendor. Anyway, let's go and place the Bow of Alchemist Fire, and then we have to drop it. I forgot. Come on, put it down. Put it down. Come on, be a good boy. Put it down. Not that. Drop it. Then we have some chemical substances that can go bang. So we are going to throw one of them at the barrel. But we're not doing enough damage to actually cause it to explode, so it will burn for a second or two before it blows up. A bit more than a second or two. There we go. 2,000 experience for opening the way down. Just checking where we ended up, and then run back up again, because of course we have another way down. All those stupid rods we've been picking up, they can be used to get rid of the barrier in the central region thing. And that is also worth 2,000 experience, so do both for the extra experience. That is being sped up because it's rather an elaborate process. You have to get the right levers or rods and the right things, and then the colors will dissipate if you get them in right, and that takes an awful lot of time. Yeah. I could have cut it out, but at the same time I try to balance out what I edit out, because as I've said in the Neverwinter Nights series, I could easily just cut everything out and just use the boss fights, the chapter things, but that would make a 4 or 5 part series, which might be interesting for some people, but I mean, you also, when you're trying to be a content creator, you want to make sure that you have some content to create. And of course, you're not doing yourself any favors by blowing through the content, so you have to improvise on the fly. But at the same time, you don't want to stall a series so long that people can't be bothered watching it anymore. So it is not necessarily an art form I have mastered yet, but I'm working on it. We will soon come up to a live recording. I decided specifically to just skip through the first main level of this place, because I think it's extremely convoluted because of all the secret doors and all that stuff. And that's why most of it has been sped up, and that's why I've been doing after commentary, because I just think the area is too dull and too, not necessarily confusing, but just too messy. So not long from now it will be a live recording taking over, and by live recording of course I mean talking away while playing. I will go through the different areas and then see what needs speeding up, what needs editing out, what needs whatever, just to yeah, keep it a bit varied. But I just want to check where it ended up, and have to go up and tell our friend that Halaster has disappeared. It updates the quest, so doing that, and then once we are resuming the gameplay, it will be with live recording, so taking over at that point. So we're back with live recording. I'm trying to mix things up, so there will be some speeding things up, but also some natural play with a normal what's it called? voiceover thing. So we unlocked 2 ways down to the second level. So let us head down to the second level and see what it does. Far as I can gather, both.
Don't let him close the door! The matron will be most displeased if we do not recover those chains. Try and open that door. I'll inform the commander.
What I was going to say before I was so rudely interrupted by a cutscene is I'm very sure both. Maybe that's the door that leads to the other area. Anyway, that looks intriguing. Let's see if we can get anything from these tracks. Drow look out, he died. Some fleeing goblins, a small key. Yellow chain.
I'll have your life.
Light crossbow. Where? A bastard sword? Well, it was a bastard, so I suppose dropping a bastard sword seems appropriate. Was a bit rude. So how have we got here? An exit there, an exit there. Oh, lovely. We don't like multiple exits. But let us see where it takes us. Of course we will be systematic as per usual, because that's the best way to do things. Don't want to risk missing, I think it's called. Holy water, potion of bliss. I'll likely forget to use it. But let us get them nonetheless. Wasted. Can't really use it on yourself, can you? Lesser restoration might still be handy. Okie dokie. A rat. What do we got here? Jonah the Unlucky. Oh. Hey. I wonder if we should get hold of a Stones of Flesh scroll. Nah, we couldn't cast it anyway. I could probably smash it. Because I decided to try and smash this statue to see if there was anything from it, but no. So I'm going to leave it as it is. Poor thing. Leave it stoned and then crushed. Oh, great. That looks interesting. I hope they won't detect me, because that will likely mean they will attack me. Uchbash, the Unwashed. Cool. Black Jack the Butcher. Oh, maybe not so cool. Something tells me we are bound to have to head through these exits, so maybe we should see where they lead. Should we follow them in order, or should we head over there and say hi? That seems to be the stairs down. That's probably locked off. Let's go and see what happens here. Don't mind me, dear. I'm just going to punch you in the face. Cowards use swords. By the way, in case anyone shouldn't be aware of it, if you are fighting unarmed without having improved unarmed combat, you will provoke an attack of opportunity every single time you do a unarmed combat attack or unarmed attack, which of course means that something like disarm could potentially be very, very interesting for monks, because they could disarm their opponents and then force their opponents into using unarmed attacks against you. Well, against them, I should say. But the problem with that is, first and foremost, it requires 13 or 15 intelligence, I think it's called, which you can't necessarily afford to gain. And secondly, when you disarm your foe, you tend to pick up the weapon yourself. which means that suddenly, interesting. Suddenly, you as a monk are armed, which means that you lose all your unarmed benefits, which means that you disarm your opponent, take their weapon, have to unequip the weapon, and then draw benefit from the fact that they're trying to punch you. You know, it's too much hassle. It's easier just going in and punching them in the face, and of course, not having to invest heavily in intellect or intelligence, I think it's called. It makes it easier, I should say, to not bother with it. Yeah, good luck hitting him with a fireball. You can resist, you can evade, you can, yeah. You can keep casting your fireballs. Suits me perfectly fine. You were saying? Oh, sorry. I mean, it fails to resist the spell, but then we saves against it, of course, and it's a evasion thing, so we did second damage. So multiple layers of defense. So. Hello.
That's it for you.
Come on. Yeah. You're cool. You're also dead. We can level up again. Level 19. Nice.
You will fall.
Surely I will. So. I mean, technically, of course, you could. You wouldn't want to because you would have no use of it, but you could technically take exotic weapons proficiency and then get a whip and then disarm enemies and then, yeah, convoluted as hell. Anyway, we have to remember that because, of course, of toughness, we gain an extra hit point. So 10 is our cap per level up, and I will go through the leveling up process because we are staying a pure monk all the way through. And if necessary, edit out. I'm going for max hit points. It may be a bit, for certain people, cheesy, but as a monk, you are still a glass cannon because you will still take a significant amount of damage. And because I'm still playing on Dungeons & Dragons hardcore rules, which the game is not necessarily balanced around, it is balanced around the normal difficulty, which doesn't allow enemies to crit you. Having the extra health can make the difference. So, anyway, let's see what it says. That didn't take too long. So, level 19. Attack bonus went up, which is always nice. That's all I forgot to mention, considering when we reached level 18, we actually got an extra attack. So basically, we have 5 base attacks. We have 1 extra attack from Flurry of Blows, and we have 1 extra attack from Hasted. So potentially we have 7 attacks. I mean, obviously the attack bonus is going to be absolutely rubbish for the last attacks, but it is kind of nice having 7 attacks. When other classes can get 4, maybe 5 and 5. Not entirely sure. 4 or 5. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. Take care. See you next time. Bye bye for now.